Welcome to a Movement Monday podcast with my dude Mark. And today I'm really excited to talk. We haven't talked for a few months actually, but Mark went through the MovePainFree system and he's here to tell you guys all about it. So, Mark, you have a YouTube channel. Go ahead and explain everything about yourself. Tell us the good stuff.
Well, Mitch, it's good to talk to you again, and thanks for having me on again. The last time I talked to you, you were in the process of getting married. I understand you got married.
No, I actually haven't been married yet. I get married in May though.
Oh, okay, so I must have misunderstood. Well, I'm glad she didn't back out.
No, yeah, it's still on though. It's still on.
Um, yeah, so I do have a YouTube channel. It's called TheFuzedLife, and it started. It was 2 days after I had my spinal fusion back in late November in 2020, and it was one of these deals where I couldn't find any information when I was going through my back pain. So like I might as well be the person that puts it out there. So I started basically a vlog of how I was feeling, kind of in the moment type stuff. You can tell, like, if somebody watches how I'm talking now and watches me back then, you can tell like I'm depressed, I'm down in the dumps, like I just had this surgery, and I don't know, it was really like real. It was really genuine, real stuff. And I've kind of spun that off into periodic updates, like, a couple weeks, couple months, a year, 2 years, that type of stuff. And what I'm getting into more now is reviewing different products to see if it helps with either my pain, my mobility, anything like that. So I'm into reviewing products and talking about back pain, really.
Yeah. And really, your review of products is kind of what brought us together as online content creators, if that's what we want to call ourselves. So, um, and I just do want to say, for if you're listening to this, I will drop a link to Mark's YouTube channel. It's really, really good stuff. He puts a lot of work into it. And he is really just out there to help other people who are going through the same things that he did, much like myself. So it's a it's a holy pursuit what he's going after on his YouTube channel. So, um, Mark, you said that you went through a spinal fusion, and most people kind of have an idea of what that is, but I don't think most people understand what causes someone to have that happen. So if you could kind of go into your history of pain, injury, and then we can kind of run down the trail of your past training, your past lifestyle too.
Sure. So my back pain first started in my late teens. Um, I can pinpoint the moment really when I first had, kind of felt the disc type of disc pain, nerve pain. I was playing football. I went to hit this tight end. I put my helmet down. I remember not being able to see what I hit, and then boom, a pop right in my back. And I was just thinking, it's just, I don't know, just something popped, right? I feel okay. I felt kind of weird, but then the next day it was like, I'm completely upright. I can hardly get out of bed. I'm taking these little tiny steps. And that was really my first experience of it. And from there, that went on for a long time until I figured out the inversion table is what took away the pain for me. And basically, after that injury, I would have disc issues when I would squat or deadlift. And I was big into deadlifting and squatting. Those are my favorite things to do. And I would only have the disc issues probably once or twice a year, but still it would knock me down for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. So I got to the point where I would have these issues, but I was able to fix them. And I don't know, it just kind of spun off into this thing where it's like, yeah, I have disc pain, and then I take really good care of myself for a little bit. And then I'm like, get complacent again. And then boom, disc pain again, and then take really good care of myself. And then it kind of went in a cycle like that. And I didn't really get super serious about taking care of myself until after the surgery, which is sad to say, but that's like human nature. It's like yeah, I have this problem, but I already know I can fix it. No big deal. And then it got to a point back in 2020 where I wasn't squatting or deadlifting, right? I had squatted the day before, and then I'm just in there doing arms, like I'm doing curls at the time, and I feel something in my back, and I'm like, that was the disc. How, like how could that possibly be that disc? Like all I'm doing is curls. This never happened before. So I leave the gym, put the weights right where they are, walk out. Um, I get home and I'm like, man, this doesn't feel like it did, but I'm pretty sure I can fix it. You know, it feels like the disc, but maybe it's a little bit different. I could never end up fixing it. So I would hang on the inversion table. It seemed to help in the moment. I'd wake up, it's the same. I could hardly get out of bed. And it got to the point where I wasn't standing straight anymore. I was off to the side because my body wouldn't let me get straight because that disc was out so far.
Mm.
And it was one of these things, it was just me being stubborn, like, no, I fixed this like 20 times before. I'm going to fix it. No big deal. Couldn't fix it. Couldn't fix it. Got to the point where I'm getting these shocks down my leg, like randomly. Like, I, if I turn the wrong way, now I have this shot down my leg. And I'm like, man, this is not right. And that even got worse to the point where, I mean, I hate to admit this, but I was laying in bed. I turned the wrong way and I started basically crying, talking to my wife, like, I can't live like this. Like, I don't know what this is and I can't do it. So I did go to the doctor and, you know, nobody likes going to the doctor, right? So I finally went to the doctor and it was one of these deals where he was like, oh no, I've dealt with this before. No big deal, right? We'll give you a cortisone shot. You'll be fine. No problem at all. Gives me the cortisone shot. I feel great for a day, 2 days. I'm like, no, that's not it. It's not it. So back and forth to the chiropractor. He would do whatever adjustments he had to do. Um, he would definitely adjust the SI joints. And he's like, dude, you have a lot of fluid buildup in here. You need to start coming twice a week. So I'd start coming twice a week. That went on for maybe a couple months. And he was like, there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm resetting you every time. And you keep going back to how you were before. When you come in, you're worse. So we tried the traction where, one strap here, one strap on the legs and kind of pull you apart, put you back together. It felt a little bit better a couple times. And the last time he did it, I remember standing up from the table and almost feeling like I was taken apart and put back together wrong. I'm like, there's something totally wrong here. And from there, I was almost bedridden. Like, when I got home from work, I would just lay down. Like, I wasn't comfortable standing. I certainly wasn't comfortable sitting. So I would just lay down and, back and forth to the doctor, letting him know I've got disc issues. I need to get an MRI. And what he kept saying was, well, we'll get you an x-ray. We'll get you an x-ray. Dude, I can't do with the x-ray. I know what it is. I know it's a disc, right? So eventually I got my MRI. And again, the doctor he didn't refer me to a specialist. He wanted me to go through physical therapy at the local hospital. And I ended up getting a copy of the MRI, sending it to a specialist myself. And that specialist called me on the phone and was like, he's talking to me for a little bit and he's like, you're going to work still? I said, yeah, I've been going to work. Like, I have one of the standing desks. I stand there and type and I'll just sweat. I'll pour sweat all day. And he's like, no, you need emergency surgery. Like, I've never seen so much compression in someone's back. So that's how it started. And actually, up until the point I went into surgery, I was expecting to get the discectomy where they kind of just cut off part of the disc. And when I got done with surgery, the doctor came in and explained it to me and said, I just couldn't, there was so much compression and damage there. There was no way I could do that. I had to do a fusion. So that's kind of the long and short of it.
Yeah, it's such an in-depth problem, really. So it makes sense that like there's all these stages to this happening. And I really like you, Mark, because you drop these awesome pieces of knowledge. Like, it is human nature for
Yep.
us to just think we can fix this over and over again. with the short-term fix, right? Um, and then yeah, you go into you had to get the long-term fix for this issue because you would just get complacent and whatnot. And I'm not saying you got complacent. That's your own words, obviously, but um, I I just really commend you for that journey you went through. And yeah, the doctor's saying like you're still going to work right now. Like, dude's tough. Dude's tough. Um, I I guess what I really want to ask you next is because you've been diving into back pain for years now.
Mhm.
What are your main sources of expertise of knowledge that you kind of gravitate towards when it comes to back pain?
I'd say my main expertise is experience. I've had it. I've had it for a long time. I've had it for a long time. I've tried a million things to get rid of it. Um, like I said, stretching, yoga, that type of stuff, and it just wasn't. It just never. I wasn't consistent enough with it. I think over time, and I could never really just get rid of my back pain until we'll get into this a little bit later. But after the surgery, I found your program. That type of stuff really helped me get rid of it. But my expertise in back pain is literally nothing other than I've had it for over half my life.
Yeah. Yeah, and what you just said was really interesting to me because you said you might not have just been consistent enough with XYZ system. And um I tend to differ in my thinking on that. I think that you probably were pretty consistent in each of those different things. And the reason it may not have worked or may not have helped you long term was maybe it wasn't the right thing for you. Everyone's
Sure.
different, but
Mm-hmm.
so I just think it's interesting. Like you take full responsibility for your actions, which is an awesome attribute to have as a human. But I do like to almost cut people slack sometimes. Like, I'm pretty sure you were doing what you needed to do. It just might not have been something that would even work if you were perfectly consistent. So, um, I just wanted to say that to you because
Yeah,
I
and you
go ahead.
may be right, because like the your back, people don't know until you have back pain. That is the center of your universe. Like when you have back pain, nothing is right. Like you're not happy. You can't think about anything but the back pain. So yeah, I tend to blame everything on myself. So yeah, I take full responsibility for my back issues. And yeah, maybe I am being a little bit hard on myself, but yeah, I would agree with you there.
Yeah. So next, let's we've already talked about what you tried in the past, chiropractor, um, different stretches, different mobility and exercise programs. But now I kind of want to talk about your experience with Move Pain Free, which is kind of the reason we're here. So we can just start from the top. You shot me a DM, I think, just kind
Mm-hmm.
of exploring it. And I'll let you explain the process that we went through. And so go ahead and tell your Move Pain Free story.
Yeah, so I found you on Instagram. I basically typed in back pain, and you were one of the first ones there. Well, I don't know if you're one of the first ones, but you were certainly there up top somewhere. But it was just me trying to kind of build my YouTube channel and kind of expand and start talking to people who have knowledge of back pain. And when I seen your program, it wasn't the same as a lot of this stuff out there. Like it's not some like miracle cure or anything. It's oh, just do this and you'll be pain free. Take this pill, take this supplement. It was actually this movement training, and it was kind of foreign to me because I'd never seen it before. So I'm like, well, let me see. Let me just send him a message, see if he'll come on and talk about it. I got you on. We talked for I don't know 40 minutes or an hour, and basically it was like, why don't you give it a try? There was no, hey man, give me a good review, any of that kind of crap. It was just I decided to try it, and it was a great thing to do for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm really glad I that we connected in that way and because it helped me. kind of, I don't know, shift the program to what it needs to be because like you said, you're like the expert on back pain, or you're an expert on back pain because you've been through it. And I mean, I've been through it too. So, and it helps to just work with different people like that and just make sure that the program is working for everyone. So, um, go ahead, tell us kind of how the program works. I've explained this a million times to a million people, and I would love to hear your explanation of how the program works.
Okay. So the program it wasn't conventional to me. Like it's not stretching, it's not yoga, it's not calisthenics. It's kind of all that mixed together. It's just you're training yourself on it's movement training. That's what it is, right? I mean, it, like I don't know. You kind of got me on the spot here, but so like this morning I went and I was a little bit stiff in my back when I woke up, so I did some of the lateral rockers is one of my go-tos, and I'm not going through the workouts you've designed anymore. What I'm doing is I found the ones that I really like, and the ones that I know, well, I'm feeling this, let me do this exercise. And that's kind of how I'm taking it nowadays. I feel like I trailed off. What exactly was the
All good. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to hear your like how you would sum up the program, but that was good, really, because that is a really good point. Is you know exactly what movement pattern you need to do to feel better in a very specific part of your body. So, and I think that's a really powerful thing for people to know is, oh, you're feeling pain in XYZ place. There is XYZ movement pattern that you need to start working on. And just by changing a movement pattern in your body, that's what's actually going to help with pain. Pain is
right?
just a signal of damage being done, even if it's micro damage in your body. And so I really like that you mentioned that. Um, I guess so it's a 90-day program. My question to you is when did you really start to buy in, say like, wow, this is I'm assuming right now, but you kind of at some point I know you were kind of like, wow, this is the real deal. So when did you really start to buy into it?
I don't know the exact day. I think it was somewhere in the 20s. I sent you a message and I'm like, I feel like a new person. Like I've been doing this consistently, and it is kind of like working out. Like you have to keep doing it. You can't work out for 1 week and be like, well, I'm not seeing results. I'm just going to quit. So I think it was about somewhere around the 3 week mark where I shot you a message like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Because yeah, that's when I knew it was the real deal. And then I think you checked in somewhere around day 40, and it's like, same thing, man. This thing's great. Like I said, it's some of the movements, they're kind of weird. Like some of the squat things, you got your arms up, you feel like a dinosaur and stuff, but I mean, the stuff works. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. And I love that we've created something that doesn't look normal. Like people will stare at you for doing it. And the T-Rex arm thing, if you're watching this, is it's how we set our shoulders correctly so that our scapulas are out in space. But yeah, it I appreciate you saying that. Um, just to kind of piggyback off of those previous questions, how do you now incorporate this into your normal everyday life?
So most of my day, the routine is I get up somewhere around 5, and then I start doing the move pain free stuff as kind of a warm up to my workout. So I come downstairs, that's the first thing I knock out, and then I'll come out to the garage here and do whatever my workout is, hit the cold plunge, and then I'm off. So I mean, it's part of my routine now.
Awesome. Yeah. And it kind of gets you, from my experience, obviously, just kind of gets you primed for moving, even if your workout isn't specifically movement based, but it will get you primed for anything that you're gonna do, get you moving in the correct patterns, from my experience. What do you think about that?
Oh, 100%. And it's it's one of these things where I've changed up how I work out now, and part of it is because of your program. But a lot of my workouts are movement based. A lot more running, sprinting. I work with my kids a lot on, they're playing sports, so we're doing defensive stances and a lot of different movement things. So and that's one of the things that keeps me active is my kids. So you can't just go, pump weights with a 10-year-old. You got to go outside and work on sports specific stuff, backpedaling, stuff like that. So getting back into that stuff when all I was doing before was lifting heavy weights it's really like a breath of fresh air. And yeah, hitting your program in the morning, then coming doing some calisthenics, that type of stuff is just, it's really changed how I feel. And I really wish I wish I had found your program before I got surgery. Um, to see if maybe I could have avoided the surgery.
Yeah. And trust me, dude, I wish I would have found my program before I was in bed all the time in college and not being able to work out too. So, um, I won't speak on if you could have avoided spinal fusion because I'm not a doctor, but what causes spinal fusions to happen is spinal compression.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the cornerstone of our program is spinal decompression. So I won't speak on it as an expert or a medical doctor, but there's there's some thoughts to be had on that topic. So, Mark, another person that we worked with before who's watching this podcast recording live has a question, so I'm going to let him hop on right now.
Yeah, my question for you, Mark, would be, so you kind of answered the first part of my question. It seems like you were in pain for half your life, so I don't know how many years that is. So my question is, how many years in pain were you in? And then how many years or how many months were you training Move Pain Free before you were pain free?
Okay. So it would have been my late teens, about 17, 18 when I started, getting my back pain. And then I had surgery when I was 33. So I would say 15 to 16 years of a disc popping out, having to put it back in with the inversion table, um, going to the chiropractor, and then having it just happen again. I mean, there was probably a decade where I would walk around with a 2 to 3 pain level on my back at all times. And to answer the second part, with Move Pain Free, I think so it was after my surgery. I started about 2+ years after I had the surgery. And I was still getting some pains. I was really inconsistent in my healing in terms of one day I feel great, the next day I don't feel so great. I'm tight over here, I got this weird pain over there. So with the Move Pain Free program, it was probably about between 3 weeks and a month where I was like, wow, my pain. I wouldn't say I was completely pain free at that point, but it's like when I would get up and start moving, I felt so much better. I felt so much smoother, so much more fluid. Um, and now that I've done the 90 days, and I maintenance, like I said, I maintenance all the time. It's something you got to keep up on, but I'm pretty much pain free all the time. So I would say if you go through the 90 days and you just maintenance, because what Mitch gives you is kind of it's a suggestion, right? The workout is suggestion. Do this, and you got to take from it what you will. Like, well, this exercise works really good for me, but this one doesn't do a whole lot for me. So I'm kind of going to put this one to the wayside, and then kind of tailor it to yourself like you would anything in life. But I would say, yeah, go through the 3 months, and I was pain free after the 90.
Steven had what surgery did you have, Steven?
So I tore my ACL and I had torn my MCL partially before. And then I found out that I also tore my meniscus when I tore my ACL. So I had what you would call the unhappy triad. So I had an ACL reconstruction and a meniscus repair.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And what were you doing?
I was doing jujitsu.
Yeah. Yeah. So it probably wasn't your movement pattern issue. It was you getting folded up on or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I like fell back on my heel. My knee was already weak. and I got the weight of my training partner because it was a judo throw at 100% and it just snapped.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Glad I found the stuff though.
Yeah, so we helped Steven after like post rehab to get back to 100%. So it's really nice having you on, and I appreciate you just going through the program consistently, making sure to do everything you could to be back pain free. But before we go, I just want to get some closing thoughts from you. Basically, if someone's going through long-term chronic back pain, what would your biggest advice be?
My advice would be explore all options and don't just settle for take the pill. You know what I'm saying? I'm not anti-doctor by any means, but it seems like you go to the doctor and the first thing is take this pill, take this shot. And I don't always think that that's the proper prognosis for pain all the time. I think you need to explore all options, whether that be stretching, different exercises, yoga, or a movement program like this. Find what works for you, but explore it before it's too late. And that was part of my problem is you got to try to do your research, figure out if the pain you're having is really serious. I was too stubborn with mine, and don't fall into that trap. You may have fixed it this time, but really do some research and see what's going on and see what it can lead to down the road. So my main thing is if you're having back pain, you've had it for a while, try to figure out where it's coming from instead of taking a pill, and then try to figure out how you can fix it. Just like you would do with any other stupid problem, like a car trouble or anything, just this is your body. Figure it out before it's too late.
Yeah, absolutely. That was awesome. Another nugget of knowledge and wisdom from you. Awesome. Well, before we hop off, I do want to remind you, if you're watching this or listening to this, that I am making a completely free interactive introduction to movement-based training. So I'm going to drop a link in the description for you to click on and get that course completely free so you can try out movement-based training for yourself. Uh, I'm Mitch Van Beek. I'm the founder of MovePainFree, and this has been Mark from TheFuzedLife. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you next time.